Hey guys, it's Kay. Welcome back to my channel, The Organized Soprano. If you're new here, hello, my name is Kay. I'm a professional home organizer and home enthusiast, and I am here to inspire you to live a more organized life. So today we're going to be making a really simple farro dish for a weeknight dinner that's going to take less than 40 minutes. That's relatively meat-free. If you don't want to use chicken stock, you don't have to, but if you're trying to eat less meat, this is going to fill you up sort of like meat and have that really like meaty umami flavor because we're going to be using portobello mushrooms instead of meat, but it's going to be super easy, and I guarantee you even the most picky people are probably going to like this. So if you've never heard of farro, farro is a really ancient grain. It's one of the oldest grains that we can find, and a lot of people believe that all the other grains are derived from it. It's fallen out of popularity in the United States for a long time. It's really popular in Mediterranean dishes, Middle Eastern dishes, and Ethiopian dishes. Very popular in Italy right now. But what it is, it's like a wheat. So, but it has not as much gluten as the grains now. So if you have some gluten sensitivity, you might tolerate farro a little better, although if you have celiac or celiac sprue, you still want to stay away from it because it definitely does still have gluten. And if you're a vegetarian, this can provide a pretty complete protein for you if paired with vegetables. And that's usually what I do with farro. I usually pair it with vegetables and pretty much treat it the same way that I would treat either barley or quinoa or sometimes rice. I use it as a sort of bolstering source of protein, and it's got a really nice flavor as well. So here are all my basic ingredients I'm going to use today. I have 1 cup of semi-pearled farro. Look how beautiful that is. Aren't they? They're super pretty. I love these little grains. I've got some caps of portobello mushrooms. Now I actually dug out the inside of these so it doesn't have those little ribs on the inside. You can leave those in if they're edible, but I just don't like them. I've got some basil here, mainly for after it finishes cooking and for the topping. And I've got some grape tomatoes here. This is about a pint, but you can use any other tomatoes you have. You can use whatever tomato you've got. I like these little cherry tomatoes because they kind of look really nice in the dish. I've got 1 shallot, and normally you would use onion for this, but I don't actually have any onions, so I've got shallots. Shallots are they're in the same family as the onion, but they have a little bit of a sweeter, milder flavor. So if you use shallots instead of onions, you're gonna wanna use a little more. And if you use onions instead of shallots, you're gonna wanna use a little less. So I say 1/2 an onion is like 1 shallot. And I'm gonna use a bunch of garlic. You guys know me, every time I come across a recipe and they're like, use 2 cloves of garlic, I always use 4. So I'm gonna cook some of the garlic with the portobello mushrooms and some of the garlic with the farro. I'm gonna prepare those guys separately. These are gonna be like a nice meaty kind of topping. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prepare my portobello mushrooms. So I'm gonna grab my little tiny cutting board and I'm gonna just rough slice these guys. Not worried to be, perfect. I really like portobello mushrooms when I'm not eating meat. They're one of my favorite, like, non-meat kind of yummy things. And I actually have a sort of love-hate relationship with mushrooms. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest, like, I don't always like them. I can really take them or leave them half the time, but in dishes like this, I really appreciate them. All right, I'm gonna mince up my garlic here. So I've sort of separated this into 2 little piles. You can use as much or as little garlic as you like. I'm gonna put half with the portobellos when I saute them and half with the farro when I make that. I'm gonna go ahead and heat up a saute pan. Let's see, I'm gonna go for medium heat. I don't want it to be too hot because I don't want to burn garlic because that is the worst. So I'm gonna put a little olive oil on the bottom here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my portobello mushrooms. There we go. And then I'm gonna add my garlic after these have been softened just a little bit.
Getting lost with you.
In a larger pot, I'm gonna combine the farro and the chicken stock. And I'm not gonna turn it on or anything. I'm just gonna let it soak in there, just to start some of the softening process of the farro. How beautiful is that little vegetable? Isn't that cute? I love that. I love shallots, are so pretty. So let me see, I'm gonna go ahead and just make slices. Getting lost with you. And I'm gonna tell you, just because shallots are not onions, it doesn't mean they can't make you cry. This one is very strong, so I've got some tears flowing. But they do smell really good. All right, now even before I turn the heat on, I'm just gonna go ahead and add these to my pan with the farro. You really don't have to do this. You can even put them in whole if you want, if you're feeling kind of like not into doing this whole chopping business, but I like to have the small ones and quarter the larger ones, just because I think they look better and they eat a little less tomatoey. I, again, have a love-hate relationship with tomatoes as well. I like the ones that you can get from the farmer's market in the summertime. Not a fan of the ones that you can buy from the store a lot of the time, because they don't really taste that tomatoey, but when summertime comes, I'm all about that tomato life. It's like a completely different fruit, I swear. All right, there are our quartered tomatoes. They look pretty yummy, and I'm gonna add these to the pot as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this heat on now. It'd be pretty aggressive because I'm gonna bring it up to a boil, and I'm gonna add my little tomato action. One thing I like to also add is crushed red pepper. I like spicy, so I'm gonna add a relatively generous amount, but be as conservative or as generous as you'd like. Of course, I'm gonna add a little kosher salt and fresh ground pepper. We're gonna go ahead and give that a little bit of a stir. We've got all of our ingredients in there, just chilling out. Look at all that good stuff. Now I'm gonna bring this to a boil and then lower to a simmer, and I'm gonna walk away from this for a half an hour. Just believe me, it's gonna be great. And as you can see, our portobello mushrooms are looking delicious. I turned them off the heat and they are tender and ready to put on top. Okay, just as a garnish and to give it a little more flavor, I'm gonna add these to the farro as well, but just as it's finishing cooking, I'm gonna add a little bit of basil. Wow, that one's really black, huh? Basil doesn't last very long in our, I find that it gets black relatively quickly. I like the flavor of it, but oh my, does it go bad pretty quickly? Well, not bad, but it just turns black. No one wants to eat black garlic. So you can wrap the leaves, do a little chiffonade. I think this is what that's called if you do that. It's called chiffonade of basil. And I'm gonna add some to my farro and save a bunch for a garnish. As you can see, the farro has thickened up after about a half hour of cooking, and it is ready to serve. It looks so good. I'm just doing a quick reheat of my portobello mushrooms here, just to heat them up just a little bit before I serve them.
Follow me out, down to the bay. Forget all the worries.
So I am ready to eat my yummy farro dish. Look how pretty that looks. It is so beautiful and delicious. Let me try a little bite of this because I'm so hungry. The portobellos are nice and meaty, and they've got that really nice chew to them. The farro, it has a really nice chewy texture still. This is a really, really easy, just beautiful dish, no maintenance, just boom bang, ready for you on the table. So, and it's even better the next day. All right, you guys, here is Sleepy Clover for you guys to see. I hope you enjoyed this cook with me video today and hope it inspired you to make your own farro dish. I will have the full link to the recipe down below on my blog so you guys can go ahead and make it for your own family. I hope you guys are having a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, we'll let Clover go back to sleep now. All right, bye you guys. Bon appetit.
Nor standing still.